Street update. I'm Kimberly Webb with the Public Affairs team, and joining us today is Greg Johnson, our Program Administrator, Frank Green, the Assistant Program Administrator, Casey Lyles, Program Delivery Manager, Aiden Groner, Assistant Director of Civil Rights and Equity, and Barbie Alexander, DBE Workforce and Compliance Specialist. Closed captioning is available for our discussion today. If you could go to the next slide, please. Oh, thank you. Apologies for that. Closed captioning is available. At the bottom middle of your screen, you should see a menu of options. If you can't see the menu, hover the mouse over the bottom middle of your screen. Click on the icon that says Show Captions to open a pop-up menu, and then click on My Speaking Language to select your language. Next slide. Interpretation services are also available. At the bottom of your screen, you should see a menu of options. Click on the global icon labeled Interpretation, and a sub-menu with options for your language will appear, and you can select Spanish and Swahili to hear an interpretation of our presentation. Next slide. We will take your questions at the end of the presentation. You can submit your questions at any point during the presentation by using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Type in your question and we will address them at the end of the presentation. Next slide. Our agenda this afternoon will go over a review of our program and program schedule. We'll discuss contracting and procurement updates and small business and workforce development. And then we'll take your questions after we discuss next steps. I will now turn it over to Greg Johnson, the IBR Program Administrator. Greg?
Thank you, Kimberly. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I'm Greg Johnson, the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program Administrator. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of where the program has been and where we currently are situated today as we're moving closer towards construction. So let's go to the next slide, please. So this slide shows what our proposed program investments are. These are the facets of the program that we are studying in the final supplemental environmental impact statement that we had in the draft supplemental. So this is a very crowded slide, but you can see some of the key highlights are that we have 7 interchanges in a 5-mile stretch of I-5. And we have a major bridge crossing the Columbia River to replace the existing 108 and 67-year-old bridges that currently carry I-5 traffic. And you'll see that we are looking to extend light rail from the Expo Center in Portland for almost 2 miles to Evergreen Street in downtown Vancouver. And you'll see that we also are planning connecting walking and biking facilities on each side of the river with some local street improvements both on Hayden Island, near Marine Drive, as well as near downtown Vancouver. So this is a very large mega project, one of the largest mega projects in the country, with a lot of facets that will be dealt with during construction. So let's go to the next slide, please. So this slide is a slide that talks about what our committed funds are for this program. And as you can see, we have a lot of boxes checked in the committed category. So we have funding from both states that started the program off. Each state has given approximately $100 million to fund the planning studies and to get us through the NEPA portion. But we also have received a commitment of $1 billion from each state to help fund the construction of this program. We also received two large federal grants. As a matter of fact, the largest federal grants in those categories that were ever given. We have $1.5 billion in the Bridge Improvement Program grant from Federal Highway Administration, and we have $600 million from the USDOT Mega Grant Program. Also, we are receiving $30 million in partnership with the City of Vancouver and WSDOT for a Reconnecting Communities grant that will reconnect downtown Vancouver with Fort Vancouver. We are also going to be tolling, and right now we anticipate that our tolling revenue will be between 1.2 and $1.6 billion that we will be bonding for that future toll revenue. And last but not least, we are in the process for a Federal Transit Administration New Starts capital investment grant, and we are looking for anywhere between $900 million and $1.1 billion from that program. So you can see that is the only grant that we currently don't have a commitment from, but it is a different type of grant. It's a very procedural grant that we are working through the processes to qualify for. So we have a lot of money in our virtual bank to get this program started. And that's what we're going to be talking to you about today, what the timeline is to get construction underway on this program. So let's go to the next slide, please. So this is a very large program, as I've stated, and there are a lot of benefits that will come to not only the area's economy, but workers, companies, both large and small. So we anticipate that this construction activity will nearly double the investment that's being made into the program as far as spin-off benefits to the area and to the region. So for every $1 billion that we spend on construction, we anticipate creating over 5,000 direct construction jobs and over 10,000, nearly 11,000 indirect jobs for suppliers and other folks associated with the construction industry. So these jobs are going to be across multiple industries, and we're looking for the length of time that we're going to be out there for this to start creating generational impacts during this construction period. So workers, businesses, and families will see the impact of this type of investment in this region. So next slide, please. So this slide is our incremental slide, as I call it. We have been moving this. We are here, arrow, ever so constant to the right side. We are still in that green box, which is the environmental process, the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA phase. So we are hoping to wrap up the NEPA phase sometime early in 2026, and that will allow us to move into full construction. We are hoping to meet a in-water work window for the bridge itself in the fall of 2027, but we also have other construction projects that you will hear about that will get started prior to that. Some enabling projects that will help the shift of traffic and the flow of traffic during construction. But all of these other elements, such as design, such as permitting, tribal consultation has been one of our strong suits. We have been having consultation with 10 federally recognized tribes and an 11th tribe that is also interested in this program. We've been doing a great amount of community engagement, which was one of the things that we heard that the community wants to see and hear us out at events to tell them what is going on. So we are committed to tabling at different events around the region to make sure folks can ask questions of our staff in person. We are still continuing to look for funding and grant opportunities. We know that this is going to be a very expensive program to build, so we continue to look to our federal partners for opportunities to raise more capital to complete the funding picture for this program. But once again, we are nearing that orange box of actual construction, and we are looking forward to hearing your questions and hearing things that you are interested in hearing from the program as an industry. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kimberly Webb to start the next section.
Thank you, Greg. We will now hear a contracting and procurement update from the IBR Program Delivery Manager, Casey Lyles. Casey?
Thank you, Kimberly. Next slide, please. I'm going to start out the next session with talking about work that we currently have underway. Recently, we advertised under ODOT for a preliminary engineering study of ground improvement installation on Hayden Island. Folks will soon see installation of ground improvements, 3 different types of ground improvements on the island. That area was selected as it has similarities underground to the work that we'll be conducting throughout the IBR program in Oregon. It will include the installation of 3 different type of methods. We'll be working over about the next 6 months to get that information, and we'll be feeding that back into our procurement documents so that industry has the ability to see the values that we gain from the methods that we've installed, the tests, and how we can manage the liquefiable soils in the area. We did get a $1 million BIP planning grant for this study. We anticipate that, again, wrapping up in the next 6 months and getting information out to the following contracts. Next slide, please. We first introduced this slide last year at our industry event in contracting for the overall IBR program in the 5 miles. So a little bit different orientation. North is to the right of the screen, so Washington's on the right side with the bridge in the middle. In the lighter blue, right in the middle of the screen, the main river bridge. Again, this information will be posted on our website following the presentation. We wanted to give updates to our packaging and contracting maps. This map reflects, again, as we work throughout the entire program to deliver construction. We'll be working really from the center of the river and outwards on each side of the river. We reflect 28 different construction packages on this map. Some primary change from the previous version of this is on Hayden Island. We have a slight difference in graphics here reflecting that the Hayden Island Package A and Hayden Island Guideway are 2 projects that were separated from the Hayden Island Package A previous work that was done. The remainder of the packages are pretty much the same as the last year. We will continue to look at updates as we go along. For those that aren't graphically depicted, you can see the transit primarily packages that are listed on the right side in the inset box. Next slide, please. So the following 3 slides reflect the contract packages listed in the fact sheet that we will update as well and provide that on our website. Just a little bit of orientation to the spreadsheet. I want to make sure that folks are familiar with the information that's provided here. The cost estimate, please note that the estimate is still from our 2023 financial plan. We expect that information to be updated and provided at the end of this year. The updates to the proposed delivery method are reflected you might see or notice the bold have been decided at this point. Same with the contracting agency for specific projects. And as we look through these, please note on the far right column, very clearly this says the earliest anticipated construction advertisement. And in the case of alternative delivery, it's reflecting an RFQ for that advertisement. One other note under this is for those listed as CMGC or Construction Management General Contractor. Those dates do reflect construction start. However, it's preceded by an A&E anticipated, any A&E contract or work that be done for the engineering package. Also reflected in the same date and after ROD. And note there's a lot of dates shown there in 2026, and those are all reflected to be post record of decision here in early 26. So a few things to key on this. We highlighted in yellow with a star that I have a few 4 slides to be specific, 3 on this one and 1 on the next table, next page. They have a little bit more information about those packages. Back one, please. So that will include the pre-completion tolling signage, the Columbia River Bridge project. Back one slide, Robert, please. And the river bridge approaches. Those will be in more detail after this. And each of those, again, I guess start off with the pre-completion tolling signage, just noting that the design bid build package, the Columbia River Bridge as progressive design build, and the approaches still have work to do on the evaluation. Other things to note on here, again, we have durations and then again, the earliest anticipated construction advertisement. Next slide, Robert. Also, following the table, we do have more information on the SR14A Evergreen Bridge replacement. Previously, those projects were listed separately, and they've been combined into one package. And the third slide rounds out the summary of the total packages. We currently have 28 listed. I think it's 1 fewer than that in, or actually it's the same number, I think, as that listed last year. A little bit of give and take on the number of packages, and the start dates are reflected as well as the durations. One slight change in durations is all just because of the combination or separation of those packages. Let's move on to the next slide, please. We'll start off with a little bit more detail about the Columbia River Bridge package. The River Bridge, next slide. The river bridge itself is the replacement of the 2 river bridges on the main stem of the river. The northbound structure would carry the northbound traffic, the eastward structure, including active transportation, and the southbound structure would have the highway as well as light rail users and guideway. Particular note, this bridge project is in both states, so although administered by Washington State DOT, it does geographically land and work in both states. Next slide. A few things to note on the river bridge. Through our NEPA, our environmental study, with a final SEIS, the Supplemental Environmental Impact Statement, we do have both fixed and movable span configurations through that process that we're studying. And that continues as we're working to revise a preliminary navigation clearance determination with the U.S. Coast Guard. It's our goal to get to a procurement with one bridge configuration. However, today's presentation and the dates and the assumption of delivery moving forward in that assume fixed span for the replacement bridge. And we do expect a bridge configuration decision in early 2026. If a movable span were to be selected, certain information would be updated, including timeline and estimated cost for the project. Next slide. The river bridge, as I mentioned, one of the big updates for this program is that in working with industry and getting an further evaluation of the delivery method for the river bridge, we've conducted an evaluation looking out through industry, getting feedback, conducting research nationwide, and determined that a more collaborative delivery method would serve the program and the community better. We've actually decided that progressive design build will be our preferred delivery method moving forward for the Columbia River Bridge project. This project will be administered by Washington State DOT under the IBR Program umbrella. We will be issuing, the plan is to issue an RFQ after the record of decision. However, we would, as Greg mentioned earlier, we'd like to try to maximize the opportunity to get into that 2027 in-water work window. So between now and the record of decision, we'll be working closely on the activities leading up to procurement and identifying what possible ways to manage and get information, one, back from industry, two, if there's any possibility of getting information out to industry, getting that feedback and getting started with procurement. Anything ahead of RIDE, we'll seek approval to do that if at all possible, and again, look to manage that the best we can. Other opportunities throughout the CRB project will include potentially getting construction management or project management folks through contracting, quality verification tasks, material testing, also an independent cost estimator. Those are potential opportunities that we can seek additional help, whether it's contracted within the existing structure that we have or external advertisement. We will be working on that approach as we move forward. And I think the next slide, we'll move on to the next project. Oh, no, sorry, one more slide on this. Talks a little bit about the details within that package for the Columbia River Bridge package itself. Lots of different work involved in that, of course. We have the main river bridge replacement itself, building the bridges in the Marine base. It also includes landside bridges, actually includes a little bit of the approach bridge on the Oregon side. So with that, we have lots of concrete, structural steel, reinforcing steel. There are retaining walls throughout, work on stormwater. And even though we won't be putting traffic on it in this project, we have other work such as installing sign bridges for intelligent transportation system and working on, there is some work in traffic control, whether it's working on the local system underneath the bridge heads. Some might also say that traffic control for river traffic is quite detailed in making sure that river traffic can work through the sequence of construction on the river. in between the existing bridge piers and the new bridge piers as we work our way across the river. Lots of different work and opportunities under those different work activities. Let's go on to the next project. The CRB river approaches, the river bridge approaches. Again, this is a bi-state project as well. I mentioned the river bridge not having necessarily mainline and I-5 traffic. This project itself switches traffic to and from the new bridges. So again, work in both states. This project administered by WSDOT will also be alternative contracting. It provides the approach bridges and gets the new bridge to tie into the existing I-5. All traffic switching would be conducted within this project. Includes lots of bridges, the civil roadway, roadway elements connecting to both the SR-14 interchange in Washington as well as Hayden Island interchange in Oregon. And of course, the multimodal connections as we connect both the active transportation and also in the Washington side, this includes light rail transit guideway structures throughout from the bridge head north to the terminus at near Evergreen Boulevard. Next slide, please. The approach project will be, as I mentioned, it will be also alternative contracting. Likely we'll go through an evaluation over the next 6 months to a year. The difference in time between this and the river bridge we show in our program schedule at up to about a year before we need to start in with the approach project. So we expect that in that time we'll go through evaluation and start preparing the procurement documents in that process. Of note, we will do a full evaluation of the delivery method. Also of note, since we'll be getting started with the progressive design build on the river bridge, the program will be advancing our experience of progressive design build. That's one thing we wanted to build on in this program, both the experience of delivering that progressive design build by ODOT and WSDOT, and there will be more familiarity. There are a few projects already underway within WSDOT, and we aim to build on that and be ready to deliver more programs down the road with progressive design build. The project, the opportunities, again, similar to the river bridge with the potential for project and construction management, materials testing, quality verification, independent cost estimating. And as I mentioned here, the kind of timeline in that would be as early as 2027 for procurement documentation, or excuse me, procurement of that project. And that would likely be about the earliest we would go. And next slide. We did list more details around the approach project. Some of the additional items here, you'll see actually a little bit more asphalt work within the project. All landside bridges within the river bridge, the approach project. We do have some sound walls included. Temporary works, there will be some temporary work started in that. Traffic signals for some of the interchange work in and around the access to and from the freeway. Is with all the approach or the bridge projects, we do have drilled shafts, lighting, sound walls, mentioned that already. We start to get into more of the maintenance of traffic. So we get a lot of traffic control, paint markings, and general switching of traffic, working with the community a lot through construction, detours, and maintenance of traffic through the program duration. And with that, I will move on to the next slide, please. Pre-completion tolling signage is a smaller project. This project is preparing the program to actually install tolling and startup tolling that would be commensurate with the start of major construction in the program. So the first thing we want to do for pre-completion tolling is actually go out and put up signage. This is a bi-state program project that it has work from the south in Oregon all the way to the 205 split, and same thing in Washington to the 205 split in Washington. So again, puts up signage, puts up sign structures, whether they be sign bridges or cantilever sign structures, prepares the tolling site for that future toll equipment. Next slide, please. Once the work is completed for this pre-completion tolling signage, a future project would come and construct the actual toll installation, so the installation of the equipment. But this project can be delivered by WSDOT. It's a design bid build package. We're working on delivering that package currently, and the final design will be through the program. After our record of decision, we need to get through that final design before we can get into construction. We anticipate that construction advertisement wouldn't be until after the ROD. But we do anticipate that there would be advanced material, potentially advanced material procurement, especially for those long lead items, possibly cabinetry or sign bridges or cantilevers. We've listed that of course, the construction project is part of the advertisement, but for the A&E opportunities, we are conducting this work delivered by the agency directly for the PS&E package. But for the other opportunities, we may still have opportunities under construction management, quality assurance, and materials testing for this project. Next slide, please. I think I mentioned this reading up to this slide, is that the electrical and communication infrastructure for the tolling would be installed for this. However, the note at the bottom that the actual installation and turn on of the toll sites will be done under a different contract administered under WSDOT's toll division as a follow-on. But there are things that I mentioned: the cantilevers, foundations, foundation work, sign installation, fabrication, and the testing. So with that, let's move on to the last project on the specific detailed project list. This is the SR14A and Evergreen Boulevard Bridge Replacement Project. This project completely in Washington State. You'll note, as I mentioned from the table, this is a project that was previously noted as two separate projects, the SR14A and Evergreen Boulevard Replacement. So this replaces the bridge, Evergreen Boulevard Bridge, over I-5 in place with the same width and footprint of the existing Evergreen Bridge. This builds walls and that primarily on the east side of the freeway. This is a precursor to the approach package in Washington that really aims to widen the corridor as much as the corridor will be widened just for the approach project, so that we can get a head start on that shift of traffic that would occur during the approach project package. It does have some bridges, bridge work, as well as investigation through for any of architectural, archaeological artifacts in the area. Next slide, please. So this Evergreen SR14A project is a design bid build project. We're currently working on the packaging and contracting for that work. The construction advertisements, we anticipate that in 2028. Final design will have to continue after we get to the record of decision. So in the next several months, we'll be working on the contracting for that final design. And as shown here again, combined project with the potential opportunities for both construction management, quality assurance, materials testing. Let's go to the next slide. I think I mentioned several items in here. There will be demolition of I-5 with transition of I-5 work so that we can have working space within the median of I-5 as well as on the outer edges. There's drilled shaft work, some landscaping, traffic control, and a pavement markings. And finally, asphalt work within this project. With that, I think I'm a little bit fast and a little bit ahead of the schedule, but I think that's the next slide. I think I'm turning it back over to Kimberly.
Thanks, Casey. We will next hear from our DBE Workforce Equity Compliance Specialist, Barbie Alexander, for a discussion on small business and workforce development. Barbie?
Thank you, Kimberly. Next slide. Before we get started, I'd like to get a quick sense of who's here with us today. Please take out your phone or open a browser and go to menti, MENTI.com. You can enter the code 4509-2465. You'll see a short few questions about your role in the industry, the services you provide, and the resources that would help you better prepare to bid on IBR contracts. Your feedback helps us tailor today's session and make sure we're focusing on what matters to you. So Robert, if I can ask you to switch over to Mentimeter, things are already starting to start cooking, popcorn's popping. So we see a lot of folks that are joining today are consultant and professional services. That's outstanding. A lot of times we hear that there are not information or specific opportunities for A&E. So welcome. And we also see that contracting with 250 or more employees. So we have a good number of large primes. We want you connected. We also see that we have a large number of small businesses as well as other folks that don't see themselves necessarily represented. So we'll get at that in some of the further questions. Maybe next slide, or can we go to the next question? What type of services do you provide? And this allows folks, you can open-ended. It sounds like YouTube stopped working. Architecture, there we go. Traffic engineering, construction management, civil engineering. These are our people, right? Heavy civil, construction administration and inspection, survey, geotechnical, design engineering, specialty sensor, and design radar. Professional bridge and civil engineering, real estate appraisal. Everyone can see themselves in this work, and that's exactly what we're headed for. And the next question, what information or resources would your firm be interested in having access to in preparing to bid on IBR? Lots of people said other, that's great. We also included an opportunity for you to tell us what other means. We see representation for FAR or a federal acquisition rate or that audited rate. We'll talk about that. Also, bonding and insurance information. We see the big share comes in access to real-time information on contracts. Well, I hope that as you see what the information I'm going to present today, that our team has put together some great resources that we're continuing to build on. So if we can go ahead and return back to the slideshow, I'd love to tell you a little bit more about our small business enterprise participation. Small businesses are essential to the success of the IBR program. From the very beginning, we've worked with local contracting groups and our federal partners to make sure that small, local, and disadvantaged businesses have real opportunities here. We've set a mandatory goal of 15% DBE goal on our current general engineering consultant contract. In fact, we're currently surpassing that with a goal of an expected at 17.4%. And we're continuing to build strategies to expand capacity for future contracts. Our goal is simple. We want more small firms prepared, positioned, and ready to take on this work. You can also find resources anytime on our workforce development webpage, and the link is included. Next slide. So when I talk about small business support, I'd like to tell you what we're doing. We know that navigating certification, funding, and competing for contracts can feel overwhelming. That's why we formed a strategic alliance with the Small Business Administration. Together, we've built a cross-referral program that connects firms to both the IBR program and SBA resources, and in providing that direct connection with support for DBE certification, both in the Oregon and Washington certification programs. We're also working closely with Oregon and Washington Apex Accelerator and many community-based organizations like NAMAC, Oregon and Washington, OWAMI, PBDG, Latino Built, Tabor 100. We went to the experts in the community, and these partnerships give small business access to the tools, training, and connections needed to compete successfully. Next slide. So if you haven't already, we strongly encourage you to register in the IBR vendor portal. This is the best way to receive email updates about upcoming contracts, events, networking opportunities, as well as education and training opportunities connected to the program. When you register, be sure to include all of your NAICS codes so that we can connect you to the right opportunities. Think of the vendor portal as your direct line into the program for businesses. And I would just point out that it is new. We have now live the ability to search other businesses that are on the vendor portal. I'll tell you why I think that that's important, as well as apprenticeship program searches. That includes both Oregon and Washington, pre-apprentice and apprentice programs, union and non-union, a central place for folks to get connected in those areas that we know are critical to the success of both small business and our community through workforce development. Next slide. We currently have over 3,400 businesses registered in the portal. These are mostly all local, Oregon, Washington businesses, and they have told us we want to work with IBR. And that shows a strong level of interest and opportunity that we're building for this program. The more engaged you are here, the better prepared your businesses will be to successfully bid on work that matches your skills and capacity. You can also, again, use the vendor portal site to search other businesses that have said, we want to work on IBR. Think about how that can help you in developing strategic partnerships and alliances and coming together for joint ventures and bidding. Because of the size of the packages that we anticipate on this program, we see many opportunities both for small businesses and for those that are teaming up to form joint ventures. We want to create as many opportunities as possible, and we believe that the vendor portal is just one of those skills that will help us, or one of those tools that will help us get there. Next slide. We also would want to point out that in our vendor portal engagement, both COVID and OMB certifications are accepted on the current GEC contract. Again, Oregon and Washington have reciprocity for DBE certification currently. However, because the program may change, We recommend that all businesses that are certified in either Oregon or Washington seek certification in the other opposing state. We don't know what the future may bring, and we want to make sure you are prepared. And if there is any connection or help that our program can provide, please reach out. Next slide. Our WSDOT Business Support Services. This goes beyond registration. Support is available to help firms grow and succeed. WSDOT's Business Support Services program provides one-on-one assistance in everything from bookkeeping and payroll to bid preparation, bonding, and prompt payment. The goal is not just to help you win the work, but to build long-term strength and sustainability in your business. We want to see you succeed. And this support can be provided both in person and virtual. Next slide. Contracting on the IBR. When it comes to contracting, here's what you need to know. Oregon and Washington honor each other's DBE certification, which makes it easier to work across the river. But again, I want to emphasize that it is only on the current general engineering contract. We recommend that all businesses are certified in only Oregon or Washington seek that cross-state certification, an easy process that our team can help provide. Each contract on the IBR program will be issued by one of the lead agencies, WSDOT, ODOT, TriMet, or C-TRAN, and you will need to register with the specific agency that is releasing the contract that you're interested in. So make sure that your business is set up with each one. The official solicitation will be through the individual agency. While you might get an update or a link from the vendor portal that says a contract is available, you must respond and seek only the information from the releasing agency. Next slide. To make the process even easier, we've listed direct links to each agency's procurement site. These are your starting points for upcoming opportunities, procurement guidelines, and requirements. You must follow each of the individual releasing agencies' information and opportunities. And we will have these slides available after the meeting. So no worries if you can't get to them now. Next slide. Now, when we talk about workforce development, this program just isn't about building infrastructure. It's about building careers. We're running a comprehensive outreach strategy that connects DBEs, SBEs, and workforce communities with opportunities. That includes tools on our vendor portal for pre-apprentice and apprenticeship searches, partnerships with state building trades, and collaborating with workforce development boards. We're identifying workforce gaps now so that we can fill them later and ensure that our local workforce grows and thrives along with this project. We do this in ways through specifically youth, high school, and pre-college outreach. We have a Build the Bridge program that has been successful with many groups, as well as active participation with our regional collaborative partnership, developing a Train the Trainer series with our Oregon and Washington Apex, and providing that direct support for our DBE and SBE firms based on their specific workforce needs. Next slide. And finally, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the WSDOT's PASS program. Workforce Access is also being supported through the Pre-Apprentice Support Services, or PASS program, which WSDOT, funds $5 million for this biennium. PASS helps people who face barriers to employment, including youth aging out of foster care, those coming out of juvenile rehabilitation, and unhoused individuals. It helps them prepare for construction careers. Through training, assessments, and direct support, these individuals are being connected with real opportunities. Vendors like Anew, Career Path Services, Palmer Scholars, Edmonds College, Tulalip, Perry Technical, and our ironworkers are delivering this work on the ground. Next slide. Our commitment remains to our tribal employment, and I'm especially proud to share that the IBR program is working on the first ever bi-state tribal employment agreements. We're working closely with the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, Yakima Nation, Cowlitz, and Warm Springs tribes. These agreements will set the framework for workforce development and hiring practices that support tribal communities. We're also helping tribal businesses with DBE certification, safe harbor, and FAR compliance for A&E firms. This is a historic step that reflects our commitment to building opportunities and partnerships with sovereign nations. And I thank you very much. I thought that I had one more slide, but I don't. So I'm going to hand it right back over to Ms. Kimberly Webb. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Barbie, for that comprehensive information. We'll now hear from Frank Green, our IBR Program Assistant Program Administrator, who will tell us what's coming up in the months ahead and beyond. Frank?
Thank you, Kimberly. Can you go to the next slide, please? So one thing I know we wanted to touch upon, we discussed it last time we had an industry event, is labor agreements. The program hosted a series of labor agreement listening sessions back earlier this year to take feedback from industry under advisement and to work with both states to determine what form or type of labor agreement that we may pursue with contracts on this program. Discussions are still very much in process with both, headquarters from ODOT and WSDOT. So there's no exact certainty at this time of what form a labor agreement may take as it moves into some of these contracts. But we do know we're actively having conversations about seeing what we can do to maximize and see labor harmony throughout some of these long duration contracts that we will have. There's nothing on the slide about it, but in a very similar vein, we also have been looking into OSIP, or owner-controlled insurance programs, in a very similar manner. We still don't have a determination on if OSIP is going to be included in our contracts, but we'll continue to make sure as we make that decision that that's known to the industry. Next slide, please. So some of the things that are on the horizon, you got a lot of information today about the contracts, the packaging, and some of the timing. We are currently still working as a program to really update from some of this information our cost estimates and our finance plan, which we're expecting to complete later this year. We're working very closely with our federal partners, both FHWA and FTA, to finalize our supplemental environmental impact statement, targeting that for early next year, and then getting following with that an amended record of decision. That record of decision will really allow us to kind of move forward on the acquisition of right-of-way as well as procurement of construction. And so as Casey had kind of mentioned, we have several elements of this program that once we're able to hit that record of decision, we will be moving into procurement. And I think we'll cover, the duration of procurements, but as you can kind of see here, as we're finalizing some of these delivery methods for the different contracts, different delivery methods will have different durations of procurement. The sizes of the contract might also affect the durations of the procurement. So there isn't a definitive, procurement will take this long on this kind of a program, But as we're getting closer to releasing procurement documents, we will expect to, likely have project or contract specific engagement with industry for each one of these, specifically like the CRB or the approaches or contracts like that as we're getting ready to procure them for industry. So with that, I think I'll turn it back over to Kimberly, maybe to talk a little bit about questions and answers.
Thanks, Frank. That does conclude our presentation today. We will have the materials and presentation posted on our website sometime tomorrow, and we can send out links to everybody who is registered. We will now take your questions. Our panels for the Q&A portion are Frank Green, Casey Lyles, Shilpa Mallam, and Adrian Groner. We also have additional subject matter experts available to answer your questions as well. We have received many questions from you, so thank you for that, and we will do our best to get through them all in the allotted time. However, if we're unable to get to your question, we can follow up after the presentation. As a reminder, if you would like to pose a question, you can use the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen to access a place to type in your question. So let's go ahead and get started. First question we have is, what is the anticipated DBE goal for the project? And we will turn it over to Aiden to answer this.
Thank you, Kimberly, and thank you for the great question out there. So on the current general engineering contract that we have under WSP, we have a 15% mandatory or enforceable goal for DBE. On each additional contract that will come out for the IBR program, there will be a DBE goal set for that specific contract for both the design and the construction portion. So those future ones will come later. There will not be an overall IBR program goal, but one contract by contract.
Thanks, Aiden. Our next question relates to the bridge foundations and footings. What is the anticipated start month and year for the foundations and retaining wall for the bridge? And we will ask Casey to provide that response.
Thanks, Kimberly. I'm going to refer back to a comment Greg Johnson made, and we are working hard to get into the 2027 in-water work window. One thing with our program and the contractors that come on board is we don't dictate exactly how they would do their work, the means and methods. However, we believe that working in that water is some of the first major activity for that project, and it is multiple years long. So we hope that we can get into that 2027 in-water work window, which for that type of work would start in September of 27. Through approximately April 28 for our biological opinion. And again, that can occur over the course of several years.
Great. Thanks, Casey. Will you have consulting opportunities for community engagement and outreach? Shilpa, can you help us with that?
Thank you, Kimberly. Yes, we will have opportunities for community engagement and outreach. We do have some support right now on the program, but we will see the need for more support, especially as we get to the individual construction projects and also the larger projects like CRB and others. So we do see some more opportunities coming up in that area.
Thanks, Shilpa. There's another one that you can help us out with. Will there be opportunities for specialized technology services such as drone-based inspections, aerial thermal imaging, or terrestrial laser scanning to support pre-construction documentation, permitting, or construction validation efforts? If so, how should firms offering these services position themselves to be considered?
Thank you. So That is a great question. There are some slides that Casey showed that show a list of like potential opportunities that we're anticipating. That's not a comprehensive list. So these are what's mentioned in this question. There are some good ideas that we haven't finalized yet, but would be open to considering, especially as we move forward, as we have like new technology. So we'd be interested in hearing more about that. And if you do want to like reach out to us, please do so. We have also office hours on our website, so you can reach out through office hours and mention that this is what you want to talk about, and we'll connect you to the people on the program that are able to work with you and figure out the next steps. Thank you.
Thanks, Shilpa. The next question, there used to be an SR 14 early works package. Is that gone? Casey, can you help us with that?
Yeah, I can. And I talked about the SR14A / Evergreen Bridge Replacement Package. And the early work package is not gone. This is, Greg also referred to this as kind of enabling projects or enabling works. The construction of the SR14A is enabling the approach project to go to get into construction. So although it is not any earlier in construction than the River Bridge, it is one of those early packages.
Great, thanks, Casey. Our next question, will the project include permanent structural health monitoring systems for the new bridge? Shilpa, can you help us with that?
Yes, so this is similar to the previous question. It is something that like we are discussing or we will be discussing. We haven't not finalized that yet, so more to come on this one. We will be working with DOT headquarters and the feds to figure out what a path forward would be on this.
Great, thanks, Shilpa. There's a few more that we could use your help with. The next question is would it be possible to schedule a presentation to introduce our solutions for the current and future projects?
Yes, absolutely. And the office hours are the best way to do so. If you go to our website and sign up for a time that works for you. And again, depending on the subject matter, depending on what area you're looking at, we'll make sure to bring in the subject matters and the corresponding subject matters on our side to have those discussions with you. So please go to our website and sign up for the office hours.
Great. Typically, how far in advance are tenders published for such projects?
So that would depend on the delivery method. And as you saw in the presentation, Casey was talking about, we have multiple methods that we are considering: design bid build, progressive design build, CMGC, etc. So it's slightly different for each one of them, the time that it takes to for the tender as well as like the selection process. But what we do plan to do is, as we get to the construction phase for each project, we plan to put that information out on our website so you know that it's coming and how long it's expected to take. The table today shows the approximate date for some of the A&E opportunities and some of the construction timeframes. So we'll continue to refine that, but also start providing more information as we get closer to each construction contract.
Thanks, Shilpa. Casey, we could use your support on this next one. Please clarify how a less collaborative procurement process is seen as more beneficial than a more collaborative process, especially in light of the economic and shared propriety language and forecasts that have been taunted to result from this project.
Thanks, Kimberly. I may have spoken fast and through that section, and I want to clarify that the additional evaluation we did for the River Bridge procurement method was to find a more collaborative method with the progressive design build. What that does is allows us to work with the design builder closer and through the process to initial design work, and also manage a risk to better share those through the process. So we may have stated that not clearly, but this is a more collaborative method than previously we had initially evaluated to be design build. We are now progressive design build, more collaborative.
Right, thanks, Casey. We have a few more for you. I believe there will be tolling included in the CRB. I'm also assuming there will be tolling before the project as well. Is that a correct assumption?
So the toll signage project that I talked about was separate from CRB. That again sets up the work of the signage and the sites for tolling. The operations, the contract that installs the toll facility itself and turns on the tolling, again, is a contract that will be set up separately under the WSDOT Toll Division. The CRB project itself does not have direct tolling involved in that project. The facilities for tolling, whether they were potentially a sign bridge on the bridge or off of the bridge, such as on the approaches projects, they could be in and around the area and will need to be collaborated. I described the approach project as a project that switches traffic for I-5, and that project would have interaction with the toll site as it develops the entire staging for the approach package as it builds traffic and the bridges and the staging throughout the construction of the approaches.
Thanks, Casey. One more. Will the light rail aspects of the project require overhead catenary system drilled shaft foundations?
So at first blush on this, the river bridge would have foundations embedded in the bridge structure itself. The approaches is anticipated in that way. However, design needs to advance further outside of that. In Washington, we're all on bridge structure for the light rail. South of there, it's currently in preliminary design, so more information to come later on. But at least for the river bridge, no, they were all embedded in the bridge structure.
Great. Thanks, Casey. Aiden, we have a couple for you. The first one, all of our certifications are federal. WOSB, ED, WOSB, SBE, HUB. Will they count?
That's a great question. So we are receiving USDOT federal funding on the IBR program for all of our contracts. So they will all have DBE goals, not the other federal certifications, though if something was to happen to the federal DBE program, we would then resort to a federal small business goal. So please make sure that your firm is certified as DBE or federal SBE. Not to say that there won't be other opportunities, though, to encourage participation. Might not be mandatory, but encourage participation of other small business certifications on those contracts.
Thank you. Will there be any priority or preference given to small businesses truly based in Washington or Oregon when it comes to opportunities for this project?
That's a great question as well. So since this is a federally funded USDOT program, the DBE program is a national program, so we need to accept DBEs from across the nation. I will say, though, that our program has been robust in its outreach to the DBEs and the firms located in Oregon and Washington, where we're located, trying to make sure that they have all the information to be ready to compete and be available for this program. So though there might not be a preference or a set aside, so to speak, there will be encouragement on utilizing local firms.
Are there still funds available in the past program?
Yes, there are. So funds were awarded for this biennium, but the DOTs remain committed. So if there's other opportunities that will arise, we'll make sure to let everyone know.
Great. Thank you. This next one is for Casey. When will a decision on the need for an external PMCM for the CRB be made public?
Great. As we look for those opportunities, we're going to maximize the time, get out to industry. Stay tuned to our vendor portal as we look at those future opportunities. Again, we don't want to surprise industry. We want to get those out well in advance of those opportunities. I can't remember if we mentioned this, but for procurements, we'll put information in advance on our website. They may point to the agency that's administering the contract, additional website for information on that as well.
How does one access the vendor portal looking for the apprenticeship information? Barbie?
Thanks, Kimberly. If you go to our vendor portal homepage, which I can send out the link, it's also in our information. It's right there on the homepage. It says search apprentice programs. There is also a button that says search businesses, and that's where you search for businesses. We do ask for security purposes that folks provide their email address and a CAPTCHA because we want to make sure that it's getting to the folks that are really interested and that we're not providing any information to bots or other types of unsecure access to potential information.
Thank you, Barbie. The next one is for you, Frank. Are there any federal grants at risk of being canceled as Portland is a sanctuary city? The follow-up to this is, could the loss of federal grants derail or stall indefinitely the IBR build?
Yeah, I know it's an interesting question that a lot of people are wondering about. The program and WSDOT, ODOT, and the program have worked very closely with our federal partners, Federal Highway and Federal Transit. Not going to go down, too far into the realm of speculation of what may go on, but we do know right now those two big grants, BIP and MEGA, we have grant agreements that are executed with our federal partners. We do have some PE funding in that executed agreement. Working toward that record of decision will allow us to amend those agreements to add for right-of-way and construction for those two grants. And so, the program is, like I said, coordinating very closely with our federal partners to utilize those funds for construction of this program. The third big grant that Greg had mentioned, the capital investment grant, it's a little bit different of a process than the two grant agreements I mentioned, and we are still very actively working with our federal transit partners to move through that process. A key milestone being getting that record of decision so that we can move into the next phase, which is engineering. So right now, kind of answering both those questions. The best thing that our two states can do is continue to, coordinate with our federal partners, look at what's, updated and ongoing, and, move forward with those grant agreements. And so we expect to have those funds available for construction.
Thanks, Frank. We have another one for you immediately following. Has the AGC been consulted regarding the use of PLAs?
So yeah, that's a good question. We have two states that we're coordinating with, as I'd kind of mentioned, with the PLA being a bi-state program, even though there's likely some of these contracts that may be administered by one state or the other. And so as we're able to work through the process, both with labor and industry, we will also coordinate with contractors and AGC. As I said earlier, we have not kind of landed on the exact form of what a PLA may look like. So there isn't direct coordination yet, but we do know that it's going to take, all of industry to successfully help us deliver these programs. And when we get to the form of what a PLA will look like, we'll make sure to coordinate that with all of industry.
Thanks, Frank. Shilpa, this next one would be for you. My business has expressed in supporting the program, but I am unsure as to whether WSDOT, the GEC, or additional project partners are the primary avenue for procurement. How are the program's scope of work currently delineating among WSDOT, the GEC, and additional project partners during the pre-construction phase?
Thank you for this question. We do get this question. We had this question from others too before. So right now with the GE, we're contracted to go through NEPA right now. So any work that we doing, if you want to be part of the work right now, so like NEPA or the pre-procurement work that we're doing right now, everything that you saw today, that is likely to be through the GEC. Any of the opportunities that like we listed today on the presentation and others coming up, that would probably be a separate procurement, again, as of what we know right now. So it depends on like where you want to position yourself. We also have different agencies, like Casey mentioned, that will be administering the different contracts, like ODOT, WSDOT, TriMet, as well as C-TRAN. And when we usually get this question, like through office hours, we try to ask which area the people are interested in, and then like pair them up accordingly if they want to be involved right now in the current work. Actually, like tie them up with the GEC to have those conversations, or if it's beyond that, we have those conversations with the DOTs and the owners.
Thanks, Shilpa. Aiden, we have a couple for you. The first one is will there be a veteran-owned business participation goal on the IBR project?
Thank you for that question. So that's similar to my response to the last one. For federalized contracts, we are required to set a DBE goal. That feds normally do not allow us to have competing goals on a contract. But if that veteran-owned business is also a DBE, then yes, that would count. Also, we will encourage other certifications as opportunities arise.
Great. The second question, how will you work with small and minority companies with bonding and the shortage of labor? The union has a shortage now. How will you help with bonding to compete with the big GC?
That is a great question. We know that bonding capacity is one of the barriers for our small business community. So we have been having a lot of workshops on bonding and access to capital through our partner agencies. We will have more opportunities that will come up for trainings and connections with bonding opportunities and banks. So please make sure you're registered on our vendor portal so that you can get that information as more training and opportunities come out. As far as the labor opportunities and stuff like that, yes, we do know that there are some labor shortages across the nation, but we are working hard as a program to make sure that we are creating opportunities for all labor to be a part of this project.
Thanks, Aiden. At what point would you be needing sandblasting and or coatings during the project? Casey, can you answer this one?
Yeah, I can answer a little bit, not necessarily having an exact date, but again, the river bridge itself, again, today's presentation was assuming a fixed bridge, and one of those possible bridges could be a bridge type, could include steel girder, or if you had structural steel, it may include coatings in structural steel. Sandblasting, I would assume that some of the demolition of existing structures might include that at some point. Again, trying to get into the 2027 in-water window, so contracting in that would be as early as 2027 with a start date in procurement and after the record of decision.
Great, thanks, Casey. And while we have you, there is another question. Will there be an independent quality services contract awarded for IA, QC, and QA?
Yeah, that's additionally the type of services that we listed as potential within the program, whether they're contracted directly through the agencies or within our GEC. That's work that we have in front of us still. So yes, there will be opportunities in that.
Thank you. Shilpa, the next question is for you. Are there any opportunities for communication support, such as marketing, advertising, or promotion of opportunities, particularly in other languages like Spanish?
Yeah, thanks, Kimberly. I think the answer would be yes, we'll definitely need support in those areas. See, even today we have some of the translation services available, so we anticipate to needing that in multiple languages as we go through design, through construction, through community outreach. So yes, so please reach out.
Great, thank you, Shilpa. Frank, the next one is for you. Do current large ODOT projects such as the Abernathy Bridge and Rose Quarter affect the timing or permits for IBR?
Am I unmuted? Yeah, thank you. Couldn't get it to unmute. It's a good question. Right now, I would say we need to coordinate, but definitely, closely coordinate with the projects and ODOT. But I wouldn't say it has a direct effect on the timing of, our permits and our work that's going on right now. Obviously, it'll be something we'll be tracking as far as workforce, as Barbie had mentioned in her part of the presentation. The workforce availability, workforce that's going to be here locally, but doesn't have a kind of a direct effect. We're moving through our permits and our approvals, like our NEPA and our record of decision, and that's really the driving factor behind what our schedule and what our contracting construction can be driven by. So.
Great.
Good question.
All right. Aiden, we have a couple for you. Can you self-certify as a DBE? Which agency certifies firms for federal SBE status?
Apologies, my mute button disappeared on me. There we go. So that is a great question. No, you cannot self-certify as a DBE. You must certify through your home state where your business is located. So for those firms that are in Oregon and Washington, for Oregon, it is COBID, the Certification Office for Business Inclusion and Diversity. And for Washington firms, that is OMWBE, or the Office of Minority Women Business Enterprises. So you certify as a DBE in your home state, and then you can get what Barbie mentioned before, an interstate certification to get certified in another state as well. And that's now an expedited process with the new DBE program rules. And as far as the second part of the question, can you repeat that to me, Kimberly?
Oh, I'm sorry. Which agents? I think you did answer it. Which
did I answer it? Okay.
Yeah. All right. The next question is related to Safe Harbor. We are an architecture firm and interested in learning about the project one-on-one and gaining assistance in the onboarding process, particularly Safe Harbor. Who would be the best contact to reach out to?
I would say to start with myself or Barbie. As a reach out, we work directly with the CSO office at WSDOT to help with the Safe Harbor process and getting your indirect cost rate set up. So I'd say reach out to myself and Barbie first, and then we will help you through that process and get connected.
Great. Casey, the next question is for you. Would the progressive design build contract packages, such as for the CRB, include multiple procurements per phase, for example? Would design and construction phases have different contracts with different primes?
Thanks, Kimberly. Good question. With us just working on the switch to progressive design build, this is something that we're working on now, and how we deliver that exactly. I would say stay tuned for more information on the progression of that delivery. There could be potential opportunities within that, but that's what the information we have today.
Great. Thanks, Casey. Aiden, we have another one for you. Apologies for jumping around. If the IBR project is about 7 billion and the DBE goal is 15%, that's over $1 billion in DBE contracting. This seems like an extraordinary amount, which could generate many firms out of the program based on the annual average of revenue. Has this been considered?
Thank you for that question. So I'd like to repeat that the 15% DBE goal is only for the general engineering consultant contract that we currently have going on. There is not an overall IBR program goal of 15%. So just for our current contract, each future contract will have a narrowly tailored, legally defensible goal set on it that will look at our available DBE firms within those scopes of work. So there's not a 15% goal overall for the program.
Great, thank you, Aiden. Casey, this next one is for you. As of now, is the Columbia River Bridge the only possible progressive design build portion? Are there likely other progressive design build packages?
That is the only project that's been decided to date as progressive design build. However, I did mention that as we set up the program, we are working to advance our familiarity, the working management skills within both ODOT and WSDOT. And that's something that we look forward to, again, as we evaluate other project delivery methods through the different packages over the course of the program.
Great. We will take just a few more questions and then we want to be mindful of everybody's time and then wrap up. So Casey, the next one is a follow-up with you regarding the soil testing opportunities. Is there soil testing opportunities for DBE participation?
Why don't you send your question through info at Interstate? Actually, we'll if we don't have your contact information, I'd like to request that you send that to info at Interstate Bridge. Can we do that, Kimberly?
Yes, if you have questions that we haven't been able to answer here or you think of them later, you can send us an email at info@interstatebridge.org. So thank you for that. And we, as a reminder, we will be sending out a recording of this presentation to all who have registered. And we have been asked if the financial plan from 2023 will be available online. It is available if you go to our website, interstatebridge.org. You go to the bottom of the homepage and select financial information. There is a link to the 2023 financial plan. And I believe that comes to all of our questions, and we will now turn it over to Frank Green to talk about our next steps and wrap us up for the day. Frank?
Thank you. Robert, can you bring the slides back up? So we'd really appreciate everyone who signed up, attended, and spent some time with us. We know a lot of questions I'm sure everyone still has, and we appreciate the opportunity to connect with you and to do our best to answer questions, as Casey said and Kimberly said, if you have more questions. But we'd like you to, if you can, go back onto Mentimeter and give us your thoughts on this webinar and how it went. So you can see there's 3 questions. One is about the information, the other is about the format, and then looking for additional information that you'd like to hear from us. This will just help us, potentially in our planning for future events. So we would really appreciate if you could log on to menti.com, code 4509-2465, and let us know your thoughts on this. Is there another slide? Yeah. So as we've been saying all along, there's plenty of ways to stay connected with us. You can sign up for office hours at our website. You can go to our website and sign up for our monthly newsletter. We have several engagement events, upcoming. You can see those on our calendar. And for any other comments or questions, please email those to us at info@interstatebridge.com. And Robert, is there another one? Yeah, just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to the team for putting this together and sharing the info. And look forward to future engagements on questions you may all have and reaching out to us and hopefully working on some of our programs as we move forward into construction. So I'd like to say thank you also to the ASL interpreters and our Spanish interpreters for helping us with this presentation today. Thank you, everyone.